This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching?
This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Football contest sign-up season is here, and you don't want to miss out on the action. With millions of dollars on the line each and every week in the world's biggest football contest, there's only one proxy to trust, footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have set the gold standard for football contest proxy services with 20 years of experience and over 13 million in winnings for their clients. All you have to do is get to Vegas between now and the start of football season to sign up in person, and they do the rest, making sure your picks are entered every week. Whether you want to play in the Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, Super Contest Gold, or the new Super Contest College Contest, Maddie and Tony have you covered. Their new website has everything you need to know about these football contests and more, including how you can reserve the best proxy in the business. Experience matters, so go with the pros at footballcontest.com, the gold standard proxy service.
Good afternoon. It's high noon here on Sports by the Books. Football frenzy on a Friday. Happy to be with you as we're all the way ready to go here. That is a perfect start to the show, guys.
Cut my mic for a second.
Today is Greek recipe day.
He's going to take this.
Oh, we got a business call right out of the gate here. So there we go. Move the mic away. This is Vinny Magliulo to my left. Gone Gaming Sports Director, Alex White to my right. Of course, Alex and I are here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, getting you ready. We can give Chris his mic back.
He knew I was on the air, too. Can you believe that? And right away he says, you're not supposed to answer on the air.
It was perfect. It was perfect timing, honestly. Chris Andrews, Sportsbook Director here at the South Point. We are thrilled to be with you. We were here last week. That was our test run. Now we take the training wheels off. We're ready to go here for week 1. No more week 0, Vinny.
Thank you.
You don't have to worry about that for another.
1A.
You don't have to worry about that for 51 more weeks.
Thank you.
But we have plenty of college football to get to. But first, we did not intend to do this, but the news cycle did it to us. The Dallas Cowboys, and you know what, Alex, Ryan, and I were walking up to your office to talk about the show today, and you said Micah Parsons got traded, and I'm like, no, that couldn't have possibly happened right now. And Chris, the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones send Parsons to the Packers. He gets the highest guaranteed contract for a non-quarterback in NFL history, 4 for $188 and $136 million of it guaranteed. 2 firsts and Kenny Clark, a good defensive tackle, go back to Dallas.
Well, I mean, you look at Dallas, they got 2 first-round draft choices, but they don't figure to be very high. I mean, if this does work for Green Bay, what are they going to be? 25? They might be 32.
Could be.
I mean, so I don't think Green Bay gave up that much. Kenny Clark, a good defensive lineman, but not great. And I think he's 30, if I remember correctly. So probably on the downside, but he'll give him some stability in that defensive line today, this year. I mean, but it kept comparing it to the Herschel Walker trade. I know I'm a lot older. Well, not Vinny, but you too. Herschel Walker was not that good. I hate to say it. He had 1 year where he had 1,500 yards. I think he had one other year where he gained 1,000. I was talking to Ryan, of course, who's hates Green Bay, but we were saying they did very well. But the thing about Herschel Walker, he was fast, but he wasn't quick. And they got a whole myriad of draft choices for that trade. And this just was nowhere near equates to the same thing. And, I know Jerry Jones is going to paint his own picture with it. And, like one guy told me, he texted me, he says, listen, the guy's a billionaire. He doesn't have to take a bunch of crap from a 26-year-old, no matter what you think of the trade. And, listen, I think Forbes came out yesterday, as a matter of fact, and valued the Cowboy franchise at $13 billion.
That good, Chris?
It's a lot better than $140 million that Jerry paid for it. I mean, he's a great owner. He's not a great general manager, but he is a great owner. But I think it really helps. And just, I don't want to take up too much time here. I moved everything right away. Moved Green Bay, moved Dallas, Dallas down, Green Bay up. Evidently, I didn't move Green Bay up enough because some of my sharpest guys came in, and I wound up, after they bet me, I wound up moving the season win total on the Packers a whole game, which is big. Moved the to make the playoffs. I went from $1.50 to $1.80. I can't remember. Then to win the division, I think they took plus $2, and I moved the hell out of that. And it's funny, just that morning I was going through my Super Bowl futures. We did great on Green Bay. We still do, by the way, because I moved it quick. I was running. Most people in the market had 20. I went to 22 earlier, like in the week. Still never got a bite. I went to 25 yesterday. And, shortly after I went to 25, here comes the trade. I went, okay, geez, I went to 18 on somebody, and then I went to 15. I think now I'm at 12, but we still do well with them. But I have a feeling I'm going to be rooting against Green Bay quite a bit this year.
I just want to say, because Jeff brought it up, that us three were just happened to be walking up there and have a meeting with you guys. And we've got to see a lot of cool things behind the scenes. And that was another one that is going to be on the list. And just how calm everybody back there was, and you're checking with, okay, this win total, division, is there anything else?
You go right down the checklist.
Go right down the checklist, right?
Yeah.
And then I was going to ask you kind of how much, you kind of just take a shot with how much you want to move it, right? And then you listen to the bettors.
Again, I can say retrospectively, I didn't move it enough, but who knows? At the end of the year, maybe I moved it just fine. I don't know. But that's the thing, is this is not an exact science.
And Vinny, I just want to ask you real quick, and then we'll head into week 1 of college football. I mean, that is a lot of movement. And look, we talk about quarterbacks all the time, moving it. As great as Micah Parsons is, it is one defensive player here, and we've talked about it all last year, where maybe 3 defensive players are worth a point at this point. Parsons is one of them, but that is a very big move that the bettors took you on.
There's no question, but it's perception also, right? And,
sure.
And to a lot of folks, perception's reality. And, that's why the exercise on our side of the counter is, you just hold up on everything, right? You hold up first week 1, the game on week 1, or the games. For week 1. By the way, these two teams meet in week 4, I believe, on a Sunday night, if I'm not mistaken, primetime game to look forward to. So you hold up on both of their games. You hold up on, and you start with the division. You adjust accordingly, and Chris hit it right on the head. Packers down, Cowboys up, but it also impacts the other teams in the division too. Then you go to the conferences. Then you go to the Super Bowl, regular season wins. Yes, no for the playoffs and everything like that, and you go from there. You open it back up for business, and people are clamoring. They're ready to bet. And Chris hit it on the head. There was some very respected play saying, okay, you know what? Not so much against the Cowboys, because they weren't going to be able to steal
on them anyway.
But it was all about the Packers. So that's the exercise. We've seen it before, and it's happened in other sports. The one thing I would say about the draft capital is that, they may not be high positions, but if it helps the Cowboys down the road in a cluster situation where they could trade multiple picks for something that they need at that time too, so it kind of remains to be seen. Is it on the scale of the Herschel Walker trade? Because, obviously it involves the Cowboys again. I agree with Chris. I don't think so. It's a completely different time. How does it impact the Cowboys? You wonder psychologically. I mean, here's a guy who was still under contract, by the way, and their last he's supposed to be one of the leaders of the team. He's laying on a training table like he's working on a suntan in their last preseason game. You know what? You don't need that. Get rid of it. And so they did. Jerry Jones thought he had a deal, had a handshake deal with him in the spring. And then look what happened. So
see, this is where I find it's easy to point fingers about a lot of different things. But Jerry Jones, he knew at that point in time, once Micah said he was not going to honor that handshake deal, which he was right to do that. He needed to get his agent involved. But I heard there was almost no communication since then.
Yeah.
If that were the case, and I have reason to believe it was, Jerry should have made a move earlier. I mean, he could have gotten more draft choice, or at least now he's like felt that he's under the gun. You know, opening day is in a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, he could have gotten more draft choice, or maybe he could have made it into a Herschel Walker type.
He
choice.
still got two way. Now, granted, like you said, could very easily could be mid-20s, even 30s if Green Bay gets deep enough in the playoffs. He's still got 2 1s, and Kenny Clark's a real defensive player.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he's a good player.
But again, Micah Parsons, which maybe 3 or 4 people in the league. Green Bay, by the way, also moved from 2 to 2.5 in week 1 against Detroit at home.
Philly went from 7 to 7.5 against Dallas.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, we never thought Micah was going to play that first week anyway. You know, I mean, we got a week to go, but I'm kind of leaning towards Philly or Dallas in that game.
All right, let's get to week 1.
Okay,
let's get to week 1 of college football, guys. We have made it. We had a fun night last night, unless if you were a trying to get a Big Ten team to cover against a MAC team last night. Dogs and unders. Good yesterday. See, I needed 0 points to cover with Miami of Ohio. That was the best one
impressive.
possible.
That was good.
0 points. Good. But let's start tonight. Let's start with the big one tonight. And that's in Waco, Texas, where Baylor welcomes Auburn. And this is a big spot for the Big 12 Conference with a team, Chris, that ended last year as well as anyone in that league. Mm-hmm. Sawyer Robertson is looked at as one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 going in. It's been a fun action game all summer long.
Yes,
Open Auburn 2.5, got his lowest pick, was 2 this morning. Now it's 1 with Auburn favored on the road. New quarterback in Auburn with Jackson Arnold, the Oklahoma transfer.
Oh, by the way, before we get into anything, for anybody playing Football Frenzy Bingo, I'm going to give them their free space. Precipitous.
Whoa! There it is.
Anyway, get it out of the way early. I'd love to sign up for action like this on every single game. I have so much two-way business on this game. It's been fantastic, and I think it'll be a tremendous game tonight. You have 2 teams. A lot of wise guys I'm hearing about. A lot of buzz on Auburn. A lot of the sharp guys I've talked to like Auburn this year. Obviously, they're in a really tough situation in that conference. But Baylor, I think that conference is up for grabs. We could, I don't know, about 12 teams would probably go about 7 or 8 of them that could win that thing. But anyway, it's a great game. I personally made the number Auburn too, so I don't have any great opinion on this one. But fantastic betting game.
Good two-way. To Chris's point, open 2.5, went down to pick. Now going back up and down the ladder. So you really would love to have this kind of action on both games. And again, SEC, Big 12, lots at stake here. And definitely more, I think the Big 12 probably more wide open, to Chris's point, than the SEC, right? But there is buzz. But something, the thing about Auburn, there's been some buzz about Auburn for the last few years. So
since
maybe
Cam Newton was there,
this figures to be the. By the way, when Cam Newton was there, they were like 40-1, or they were a long shot to win the national championship that year. And here you have a game though that should be the marquee game of the day. This is one of the games that certainly everybody's going to get involved with today.
I really like the Baylor Bears in this spot. I have them slightly higher than Auburn to start the season, and I figured at home getting points. I did get a better number at 2.5, but I still like them here. I think they're going to win the game outright. And looking at both the teams, and while I do like Auburn to take a step forward this year, I think it's going to take some time. With Jackson Arnold, they also beefed up the wide receiver room a lot. They brought in a lot of good transfers there, but I think the connection is going to take some time. Both these teams started terrible last year. Auburn 2-5, Baylor 2-4. But after that 2-4 is when Sawyer Robinson really had the starting job. And then the OC was his first year in Jake Spavital. And that's when it really started to click. And then also Dave Aranda, the head coach, started calling the plays on the defensive side again. Went from dead last in Power 4 to average, so not great. But I think now with another year, stability on the offensive side, he can focus on the defensive side. I think Baylor comes out and looks a whole lot better than they did starting last season. Looks more like that team that we knew by the end of the year.
This is a good for this league in particular because the Big 12 people just do not like the SEC. I wonder why. But this is an obtainable game for the Big 12 to take a shot at the mighty SEC here, and they have the advantage of quarterback. That's the biggest thing for me. I love Sawyer Robertson, who I think is a dark horse Heisman Trophy candidate. If Baylor is able to make a push for a Big 12 championship with Alex, you have them in your college football playoff. I have them losing the Big 12 championship game to Utah and missing out because of that. I think it starts tonight. You and I agree. I like Baylor. I just think they returning the quarterback helps in significantly, especially with Arnold was terrible last year at Oklahoma. He was unplayable. They benched him midstream. It will take some time with Auburn. I'm with you, even if they have a good year. I do like Baylor. Alex and I are simpatico on this.
I am curious to see what we get from him because, remember, we did talk about OU's offensive line quite a bit and really not giving him any help there. So we'll see what Hugh Freeze can do with him. But for this game in particular, yeah. And it's a tough place to play, right? We got to factor that in first game.
Let's go to another one tonight, Vicenz, and we go to two teams we actually saw last week.
Yes.
UNLV and Sam Houston State. Sam Houston State was in the game for about 40-ish minutes until Western Kentucky took that game over. UNLV struggled like heck against an FCS squad, winning by a touchdown. This is a huge move. Open 13.5, now 9.5 on this one. And the total as well from 58.5 as high as 62.5, now 61.5.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. I think the Rebels, this is a tricky spot for the Rebels, even though Sam Houston State has incurred, and I think the game got away from, they got beat up in that game. They've got a lot more injuries than do the Rebels here. I think, again, both with a game under their belt should certainly get some, a bit more in sync, but advantage, I would say, to Sam Houston. I'm not real surprised with this move here, considering, the Rebels open, almost two touchdown favorites here, but a little bit of a tricky spot here. Probably advantage. You mentioned the last game, Jeff, the Baylor game, advantage at quarterback. Maybe so, too, for UNLV. But overall, I think it's a little bit tricky. Giving up 31 points last week to Idaho State. I mean, boy, that's where the cause for concern comes in. Sam Houston's going to look to push the pace here. So not real surprised that the money's showing for Sam Houston. And I think it's going to continue to show.
Well, I lowered the hell out of UNLV on my power ratings because it was not just a freaky game last week. I mean, they played very poorly. Yeah. But I still think it looks like a little bit of an overreaction all the way down at 9. I mean, my adjusted price even after last week was 12. So I don't know. I mean, it might be a little bit of I didn't play the game or anything, but it looks like an overadjustment to me.
It has been it's been a very limited selection, but it has been a poor start to the year for the Mountain West. Fresno is non-competitive in Lawrence. UNLV struggles against Idaho State, and then whatever that was from Boise last night, where they just got walloped in the second half by South Florida. Boise didn't score 3 quarters last night. That's the first time that's happened since 2005 for that Boise program.
What they scored, they were up 7-0.
They scored first. That was it. I just got crushed last night.
Yeah, with a very experienced O-line. Chris and I were talking about it. Like it looked like they were going to, but I'll tell you what,
crushed.
They got beat up. They got manhandled. They
did. It was very impressive from Alex Golish's team, who
it was.
They played 2 very difficult games in a row. They go Florida and Miami back to back, so kind of needed that one yesterday, and they got it. All right, let's go to Boulder. I know we're going to get an Alex White play here, so let's look at this one, Chris. Georgia Tech. Oh, we're down to 3.5 now on this one, so they're betting. They're finally coming to the window on the Buffs after going to the window early on Georgia Tech. It opened at the 3.5, got as high as 4.5. Now back to the opener. But we were talking about this morning. This total's gotten crushed to the under, 56-51 here, Chris.
I'm not the best totals guy to talk to, so I'm going to yield to you two and even Vinny here. I'm not the totals guy, but I will say this on the point spread. This is another game Boy, I'd like to sign up for this every game this year. Great action on the way up, coming back down. Of course, we're still a few hours till post time. We'll see where we wind up on this game. But, just a lot of opinions here. I'm hearing a lot of good things about Georgia Tech. And I think that's what drove that number up originally. And, of course, Deion Sanders always going to get some publicity. And, people were, hot and cold on him one way or the other. And but he brings out a lot of money, and here we go. So great action game. Again, I have no opinion on this one either.
Love the two-way. I mean, this is what we. Where is it? Do we have it? Two-way action. So two-way.
Better alive anyway, right?
That's right. But I think first game of the year, not real surprised with the total move. I guess for these teams, especially with all that. You look at Colorado with massive changes offensively too. So kind of a wait and see approach. Now, I think as we get closer to game time, probably start creeping up again. The public loves to root for points, so we'll probably see some public money going towards the over here. But here we go, Georgia Tech again. Every year at the beginning of the season, they seem to be the surprise, right? And
yeah.
Now, but the difference here is they're a favorite, and they're a favorite on the road. So
what were they, 15-point dogs last year?
Yeah, exactly. So, but to Chris's point, excellent. You love to have this kind of action, especially this early in the season, because so many games this time of year, can just run one way.
That kind of leads me into why I like Colorado. Is it is just such an extreme difference from them being a big underdog last year in that game one, and now it doesn't even look like such a great win, right, against Florida State, to now being a road favorite against Colorado. And I just feel like people are acting like Coach Prime doesn't bring in good athletes. I think that they are even here. I made this game a pick'em, so I definitely like the points here with the Buffs. And I love Caden Salter. I think he is a fantastic athlete. I think he's going to fit his system very well. He's a dual threat. 2013, his yards per attempt was 9.9. So he can air it out.
Wow, that's
we
good.
know that Coach Prime will let him do it if they have the chance. I like Haynes King on the other side too, and I think Brent Key is also a very good coach. I just think it's just being taken a little too far. I know people like Georgia Tech; they're kind of a little darling going into the year, but I think that the Colorado athletes will be able to hang in this one. I love getting at least a field goal at home here.
A funky road trip, right? Team from Atlanta going out to Mile High.
That's
week
another
one.
thing, yeah.
Going to be a lot drier in Boulder than it is in Atlanta too. It's a funky road spot. I'm not touching this game. I think everything's about right. I think Georgia Tech should be north of a field goal. I think King, I'm a little bit different than you, Alex, on Salter. I'm concerned about him playing up. I think a lot of his numbers had to do with the fact that I'm going to hit your bingo card here. Liberty played a lot of tomato cans last year.
There you go.
So I'm a little bit concerned on that. But they do also have Juju Lewis behind him. So if Salter falters, that's a nice rhyme, at all.
Say that again.
No, I'll mess it up on that one if I do that. We're going to see one of the better freshmen in the country. But then maybe not tonight, but down the road. But I'm going to stay off of this. I want to see how Georgia Tech looks. I'm with you also on the going from really being an underdog most week, even last year, even they had a great year. They were still underdogs in a lot of games last year. It was the quote, "No one believes in us" stuff.
It's buzz both ways. A bad buzz on Colorado, a great buzz on Georgia Tech.
That usually is not a great sign for the team with the good buzz. Even though I know you weren't trying to make a pun. That was a good pun though on the Yellow
That was
Jackets.
a good one. Yeah, I didn't even catch it at first.
By the way, this morning on the show, we had a poll of which favorite will cover tonight, and 40%. So not a majority, but a plurality for Georgia Tech here with 40% on that. Now for something a little bit different on Saturday. Let's go to Happy Valley. Chris Andrews, the native Penn State fan on the desk.
Yeah.
Even though I am on the Nittany Lions to win the national championship this year. Chris, they're only laying 44 points tomorrow against Nevada with a total of 54. We always love these ones early in the year. We usually see this FBS versus FCS. This is the rare FBS v. FBS 44 here.
Well, I spent my first 23 years of life in Pennsylvania, but I also spent 22 years in Reno.
Yeah.
So I talked to a couple friends of mine from Reno last night. And we're having a good time. Listen, I know Nevada's not going very far this year, and we're hoping that Penn State does. But I hope Nevada shows up. I hate to tell you, some of these numbers can be way off on those games. I made that number exactly 45. And again, I don't know how the hell I did it, but I did. But obviously, I have no opinion. I'm hoping Nevada shows up and at least, puts maybe 10, 13 points on the board. I think that'd be great for them. And, Penn State's, if they don't win, well, we could pack up everything. But they'll win the game. And we know Franklin loves to cover these numbers too. So I'd be extremely careful taking the 44 or 45 and don't buy half a point. Don't do that.
Well, that's the fun one, the last part you just put in there, because you and I talked about this a little bit yesterday morning of how many points do we need in order to cover with Team X. Yesterday I said that 14 was the number for Miami of Ohio. We needed 0. Ohio, I thought the number was in the low 20s. We got there easily in the low 30s. You might need 17 in this game from Nevada. Like, Franklin's willing to win. Franklin's more than willing to win this game 63-14. we know that with past history on James Franklin.
Third stringers. Go ahead. Don't stop.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Listen, in defense of Franklin,
which
I can see why he would do it, because those kids, if he doesn't give those kids a chance to play, they're going to transfer out.
Yeah.
Like the quarterback. Where did he wind up?
Perbula's in Mizzou.
I know.
He was awesome last
night. They only
night.
put up 60 yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to give those kids a chance to play.
Absolutely.
And so I agree with, it's easy to knock Franklin in that sense, but I kind of have to agree with him.
He said in a press conference 2 years ago, I got to give these kids a chance to play football. And he's right. He is correct on that.
Yeah, he is.
We'll give him that. All right, let's go to another Big Ten game where our friend Kurt Cignetti's back in action. 24, Vinny, with Indiana against Old Dominion. Cignetti has been very loud this offseason yet again after a very loud season a year ago for IU. Be interesting to see on this one, but 24 here, Vinny.
24, 23, 24. I mean, you're talking about two-way action at over 3 touchdowns. Cignetti, look, here's the thing, right? They lose a lot. They lost a lot from last year. They're a surprise team, playoff team, terrific season. Won a lot of games late, right? It's a pretty, in some in dramatic fashion. You wonder. Here's the concern, for Indiana this year. Does last year's results and those close games, do they kind of catch up to them? Do they kind of even out? I mean, obviously, this is a game that they should be really in control of, but Old Dominion not an awful, but this is certainly a better matchup than the game we were just talking about between Penn State and Nevada. So again, Cignetti, he seems angry, like they were disrespected. I don't think they were disrespected. They just took the country by surprise, and that's part of the territory. So now it's the standard, and that's his philosophy, right? This is who we are, and this is our standard. But again, 23 and 24. It's good that both sides are getting play.
I actually did make it 24 as well, but I got to give JR credit, who follows our show religiously. We were talking about this game, and he said, I wonder if Cignetti kind of takes a page from James Franklin's book and kind of runs it up on these non-con, where a lot of people are, talking about how they have this cupcake games. So you might take advantage and get a little bonus point. So I think it's a stay off for sure.
By the way, to Vinny's point, he's an Italian guy from Pittsburgh. I know a few of those guys. A lot of them are angry.
I don't know how we can move on from that, but we'll do our best now. And let's go to Ann Arbor. This is another big one, Vicenz. 34.5 here at the South Point. There's a lot of 35 in the market as well, with a 49. It did get up to 37, so they are taking New Mexico over the last 24 hours or so. Bryce Underwood, the number 1 recruit in the country, will be the starting quarterback for the Wolverines right away.
Takes over. Looks like they had a very good offseason. Some folks think that they had the best recruiting season, not just, obviously, we don't talk about recruiting as much anymore with the NIL, right? Because the NIL really, and the transfer portal overshadow recruiting anymore. But you don't want to discount it. You don't want to ignore how teams did recruit. In Michigan, by all accounts, had a good recruiting season. Now, points have shown here for New Mexico, probably because of the change at quarterback, maybe. I know this. Michigan is the healthier team here, too. You still want, even though it's the beginning of the season, injuries have occurred during training. You know, we see it a lot, and it gets a lot of publicity in NFL and in camps and things like that. But, of course, they do have a preseason, too. And some guys that play do get hurt. But if you look at the injury report here, Michigan appears to be the healthier team. So I think that is something that bears watching. But, again, you know, you've got – a team 5 touchdowns here. This a lot of times too, if you're not involved with these games, and folks, you don't have to bet every game. I know that sounds a little crazy. Chrissy will say, well, yes, you do. But in all seriousness, you can watch and you can study and try to gauge how teams are progressing. How, in this case, a changeover in quarterback, to Underwood here plays out, and start thinking ahead. So if you're not going to bet either of these teams today, you may play them next week, and you may see something in this game today that really stimulates you to do so, or down the road.
Let's go to Atlanta next. Chris, the neutral site game that will probably be 95-10 Tennessee Orange, or 95-5, I should say. We can't add up to 105. Tennessee. Math is hard sometimes with Jens. Syracuse and Tennessee. You guys are at 14, which is actually the market high right now. It's 13.5 everywhere else. 51.5. Both teams welcome new quarterbacks, and Jelly comes over as the backup in Notre Dame, now the starter at Syracuse. And, of course, that bizarro offseason for Tennessee where Nico leaves, goes to UCLA. Joey Aguilar, who was at App State last year, who was at UCLA during the spring, completes the trade and is down a starting quarterback for the Vols there.
Yeah, you thought Jerry Jones was active yesterday. I made this number 14. I really have no opinion, but, you know yourself that, Heupel likes to score extra at the end of the game. He's got a lot of like a James Franklin type guy. I don't know if he has the horses, though, this year. I don't know that he does. I think 14 is a really good number. I would not, 13.5. I made it 14, so lean slightly towards a favorite. But anything above 14, which you might see that tomorrow, you never know, might be worth a shot on the dog. But I have no opinion in this one either.
I agree with that, Chris, and I made it 12, so very tempted. 14 is a good number here, and Brand Brown, I like him. He's feisty, and he gets his team, pumped up behind him. So I think they'll be ready for this one. The other thing is the weakness with Joey Aguilar, and we saw it, is he's not very good under pressure. So if they know that going into this game might rattle him to start, so maybe they can hang around. But I haven't jumped in yet just because I do know that about Tennessee, and I know that Heupel will definitely run it up if he has the chance and could get the backdoor cover here. I
know Amaliava had his issues as a freshman from time to time last year. I think this is a massive downgrade at quarterback for Tennessee.
I would agree with that.
Aguilar, who was a really good player at the Sun Belt level, I don't think translates well to the power conferences. I don't like his arm strength, which in a Heupel offense, you need arm strength. I'm not saying Syracuse is going to win the game. I just don't think they have the horses to pull off the outright upset. But Tennessee needing a score at the end to salvage a win in a tie game, it wouldn't shock me one bit. But then it's Heupel. If I'm wrong on Aguilar, it could be, I could look up and it's 37-6 midway through the second quarter. It's like, well, I got this one extremely wrong. So, but that's week 1 in college football, right?
Well, listen, good points to everybody. I love Alex's point too, though, about Syracuse. They get disrespected. They play hard for coach, and this is the kind of game that they enjoy. It's us against the world type mentality. Look what they did last year. They surprised a lot of teams last year, and you're like, wait a minute, not only covering but winning games.
Yeah.
I know this. If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
Oh, I agree. So. Yeah. All right. Let's go to College Park next. FAU in Maryland. Alex, this is one that popped on your numbers this morning. Not a lot of expectations in Maryland this year. Changing both coordinators in the offseason. This is not looked at as a high-end team by any stretch in the Big Ten, but they are 2 touchdown favorites against FAU. Total of 60.5 here at the South Point. And this is a mixed bag on the total. I see 60, I see 60 and a half, I see 61, and I see 61 and a half. So I would imagine this will be searching for the correct total right here, Alex.
It is searching for the correct total. And I worry because week one, we've seen a lot of unders, but this one, I think we're good going over that total. FAU, new head coach Zach Kitley. He's going to want to go fast pace. He was the Texas Tech OC. So he brings in the former quarterback from Western Kentucky, Caden Veltkamp, who was the Conference USA Offensive Player of the Year. So he completed 67% of his passes at 30 touchdowns, 8 yards per attempt last year. So I don't know. I like it. I think we're going to get points from both sides. And we saw it from Maryland the last few years with them being very pass heavy. And it's a quarterback battle still between three guys. They have not announced who, as far as I've seen, but maybe we'll see a little bit of everybody. But I think we're going to see points in this one.
Over. I'll just say this with Maryland. Last year was such a mess that I'm kind of surprised Loxley actually stuck around. That's how bad it was at Maryland. And it doesn't look to get any prettier because other than Purdue, who Barry Odom's got his work cut out for him in West Lafayette.
Yeah, but we know that about Purdue.
We know that. Like, other than that, like,
well, again, to
be bad again.
Hit on that one word, precipitous. Usually you look for like those really lower echelon teams like, Kent State, Akron, et cetera. This would be a Power 5 team that I could see a precipitous drop.
Bottom falls out.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm like you. I can't believe Loxley held on to his job, but I don't know. Maybe he had a big buyout or whatever. I'm not sure. But I could see this team. Matter of fact, I left them off my parlay card this week because I remember just going through the games. I remember telling Ashley we were going through the game. I said, "Boy, this team has disaster written all over it." That being said, I'm not jumping over FAU. I mean, they're not very good either. But this Maryland could be a team that falls apart.
One-way traffic on the number. So open 17. So it's all about FAU at the counter.
All right, you guys ready to go to the game of the weekend?
That's a big one.
9 a.m. We're bright and early for us out here on the West Coast. Of course, it's the final Corso headgear game as well. All the pregame shows are there at the Horseshoe for number 3 Ohio State and number 1 Texas. Ohio State, Chris, this has been the way this game has gotten played has been fascinating to me. Where I thought the number you guys opened was great with Ohio State as a field goal at home, and it has been all Texas Longhorn action. Some books even have Texas as a favorite outside of Nevada.
Yeah.
Right now, Circa's the only one in Nevada that has it as a pick. Down to 1 from 3 with Ohio State at home here.
I opened at 3. I did make the number 2.5, but I thought 3 was a really good betting number, and it's just been all Texas. And I again, we talk about the buzz, and here we go. It's all over Texas, and rightfully so. Ohio State's being downgraded because of their coordinators. They lost both. They did get Matt Patricia, who has NFL experience. We'll see how that translates to college. But, is Ohio State that easy to beat at home? That's what I keep thinking. I know Michigan's beaten them a couple times, but other than that, how many games have they lost at home? Not many. Here you go now. And listen, I expect Manning to be fantastic. Expect them to be a number 1 draft choice. Probably has a Super Bowl or 2 in his futures. I understand all that. This is game 1, going to the Horseshoe. I didn't play this game, and if I was, I'm in a couple contests, I didn't touch this game because I think it could go either way. But man, the pouring on of the money in Texas just kind of, they kick off. Listen, I don't like either one of these teams from a rooting standpoint, but I'll be rooting for Ohio State pretty good.
One thing that I think is being overlooked is Ryan Day just did what everybody said he couldn't do, right? And took his team all the way and won a national championship. Does he have any pressure really going into this now that it is a 12-team playoff?
Both these teams are going to be in the playoffs.
Exactly. So, I know he wants to make a good statement and have his freshman quarterback have success here. But really, I feel like the pressure's all on Texas going there.
There is one game Ryan Day has pressure on him.
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't come until
November,
Saturday after
yeah.
Thanksgiving when they have to beat they have to beat Michigan this year. They won a national championship, haven't beat Michigan in 4 years, and there's still people in the Buckeye fan base that are still probably pissed at them.
We can break this game down. The world is breaking this game down. Here's the most important thing from our side.
Please.
Okay. You book this game like it's an NFL game. That's Chris, right? I mean, the reality is this is a game that everybody's going to be involved in one way or another, and great. And another thing, and I've said this before, a game like this and some others, this is a good byproduct of the playoff structure because now again, you know that my philosophy on polls don't determine prices because you've got the number one team in Texas that's technically they're an underdog, right? Or now they're a favorite, but they opened as a 3-point dog. So it's not about that, but the reality is you've got two of the top teams in the country meeting in week 1, right? That, and Chris has got the right point, accurate, is that for these two teams to not go to the playoffs, something catastrophic's got to happen, whether it's a key injury or a cluster of injuries or things like that. So it's not a death sentence, especially if it turns into a close game. But from our side of the counter, it's as good a game as there is, and you treat it as such. And how do you treat it as such? You book it like a week 1 NFL game, and let folks fire.
You know, I'm going to say something, and I'm sure it may not come off right, but it's okay. Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good at this point? Are we sure? Arch is the Heisman betting favorite, and we've only really seen him for, 3 games?
Did you see my tweet yesterday?
Yeah.
Ron Paulus equals Peyton Manning or
Arch Manning? That'd be a little scary.
You guys don't remember that. You know, that's before your time, 1984-ish, 5-ish, 6-ish, something like that. Beano Cook, who I love, Beano said he was going to win 2 Heisman Trophy win 2 Heisman trophies before he ever took a snap in college. And of course, he was a good quarterback at Notre Dame. Never made it to the pros on a roster. I think he played in Europe a little bit. But, you know, I mean, he had as much publicity. I mean, it's a whole different era. He has much publicity starting as Manning. And, you know, listen, I always say, I want all these guys to be good because it makes the game better. I want them all to thrive, even though I root against half of them on a weekly basis. But I want him to be great. I really do. I don't want him to fall on his face. But are we sure? Hell no, we're not sure.
That's my point in this game where Sain's making his first career start. Manning's never started on the road either. That's a hell of a place to start your first road game.
I know, yeah.
He's in the horseshoe in week 1.
He's as prepared as any quarterback can be, but still, you're going into the horseshoe?
Yeah.
I mean, the expectations are this high.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me to where I'm saying, where even though this total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under here at 47.
Yeah,
these defenses are going to be, even with the change of coordinator at Ohio State, both of these defenses are going to be top 10 defenses.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game all the way, yeah.
All right, we are going to check in with our good friend Joe D'Amico, who has a side, or play, I should say, a play in this game between Texas and Ohio State in this week's version of Cup of Joe.
Hello, sports fans, world champion handicapper, Las Vegas' biggest daily sports bettor, Joe D'Amico. Excited about a college football matchup? No, the college football matchup, the biggest marquee matchup in college football on the board this week. Number 1, Texas Longhorns going into Columbus to play the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes. My friends, in a quick recap, these two teams met last January in the CFP semifinals, and we all know how that ended. Ohio State took down Texas 28-14, then went on to beat Notre Dame for the national title. My friends, everywhere I go, whether it be on TV, on my computer, in print, I am reading that game was tied through the third quarter, then went into the fourth, and blah, 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 blah. If the coach would have did this and the team would have did that. Sports fans, Ohio State did what they needed to do to win that game. Bottom line. Yes, this is a big revenge situation for the Longhorns. I mean, They're now led by Heisman candidate Arch Manning, who has full control of the offense this season. I give him an edge, not as big as the newspapers and the shows are all saying, an edge. He's a little more polished than his counterpart, Julian Sayin. Speaking of the Buckeyes quarterback, I keep reading about him, guys. His first ever start. I get it. This guy better. Newspapers and the shows are all saying an edge. He's a little more polished than his counterpart, Julian Sayin. Speaking of the Buckeyes quarterback, I keep reading about him, guys. His first ever start. I get it. This guy better.
Oh, we apologize. We've silenced Joe, which was
No, I can hear him.
not possible. In all honesty,
I can still hear him.
Joe's play is Ohio State laying at the time of record a point and a half. So I would say Joe's good with laying 1 with Ohio State tomorrow in the Horseshoe.
Sorry, I know we got to go through a lot more games, but I do want to ask you, Chris. You sound like you're okay having to root for the Buckeyes, rather than we aren't going to see that line completely flip. You don't want to get more money on the other side?
I have no idea. However they bet us is how I'm going to move it. I have no strong opinion. But you're right. Listen, whoever I wind up with, I wind up with. And, that's the advantage of taking 110 rather than laying 110. But, that's 90% of the games. I'm okay with whoever I wind up with, So that's another one.
Real quick, because we had a request on an FCS versus FBS game.
Yeah.
You guys will throw those up. Those be up tomorrow morning.
They'll go up tomorrow morning. There's another. What did he wanted? The Iowa State.
It was Iowa State, South Dakota. By the way, the numbers that are out there right now, 14.5. So
yeah, that's a good game. What's the Oregon Montana State game in the 20s? I think Alex
26.5.
That looks a little high to me. I don't know.
It's a lot of points. Montana State's always good.
They are very good. Yeah.
Oregon also. Remember last year.
Oregon knows.
Idaho. Took them to the brink last year.
Right, I forgot about that. Yeah, good one. Yeah.
No. All right, let's go to Athens, Georgia. Kirby Smart and company welcome Marshall. Marshall, a program completely in flux after, again, winning the conference last year, but then running Huff out. Bizarre stuff. Kirby has not had success as a bigger than a 38-point favorite. He's never covered a game larger as 38, and it is larger than 38 here, with it being 39 with the Dogs at home with a total of 53, Chris.
I wrote an article about this about 10 years ago or so when I had my own website. If you bet these Southern schools, non-Power 5 schools, against the SEC, it's an amazing winning percentage. Not winning, but covering. Covering over like 65%. And just a lot of incentive on the one side, a lack of incentive on the other side. And, it made the number 38. It's not like you're playing the number, but the psychology of the game. And we have a couple of those situations, like Miss State and Southern Miss, a couple where you could take some points on these, non-Power 5 or non-Power 4 now, Southern schools. And I would still consider Marshall a Southern school. And, I think you'll do very well. You might not win every single one of them, but you're going to win a whole bunch.
I think you look at this, Kirby's concern here is let's get out early, let's control the tempo of the game, and let's stay healthy.
Yeah.
And that's he's looking big picture. Not, again, a bit of a different approach than Franklin. Again, that's not a bash on Franklin. You have kids that are, particularly if they're third string, but again, rosters are smaller now too. So second and third string, they need to get their reps, they need to get their time and have their opportunities. But that's what Kirby Smart's looking at here and looking big picture. So to Chris's point, meanwhile, this number hasn't moved. Will it? Who knows? But it's probably going to be more of a take than somebody laying 39.
39, the number. That is the best in the market, along with the Superbook, a lot of 38.5. But as Vinny said, number hasn't moved all summer long on this one.
Makes me think the wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorite.
No.
No,
They've waited this long. They're going to either be dog or pass.
let's keep it with another SEC versus G5 school. And we have a team that our friend Sam Panayonovich picked to win the MAC on the road in Lexington, and that's Toledo taking on Zach Calzada and the Cats. Chris, Mark Stoops and company had a rough year last year. They went 4-8. They did have the upset win over Ole Miss, which actually kept the Rebs out of the playoff when it was all said and done. This has been an interesting mover through the summer here. Now at 10, with the Cats laying it at home with a total of 48.5.
Usually I like the MAC in these kind of games early in the season, before the attrition hits them. But I like Kentucky in this one. I think Kentucky rebounds here, and they had a horrible year last year. I don't see that continuing. I think they come back here. I made the number a little bit higher, 12, but you got over that key number. I'm in a couple contests. I laid, a cheaper number. I think I laid 8.5 or 9. Which to me was still worth a play. I think they're just a little bit better than a Toledo team who, I'm kind of with Sammy P. They could easily be the class of the MAC, but we saw some good performances yesterday out of Ohio U. I was very impressed with them, by the way. I really was. But I kind of like Kentucky in this spot.
I'm at 8.5, so I'm right there. A little bit of a lean to taking that 10, but I don't know. I gotta watch and see, because while Toledo, just 4-4 in the MAC last year, 8-5 overall. Tucker Gleason, quarterback. I don't know. I gotta watch and see. I don't think he's at the top of my list for quarterbacks in the MAC. I'll just put it that way.
Stoops, I let other people, writers in particular, and fans say who's on the hot seat or not. But I think he's in the best conference in the country. Toughest conference, and it gets tougher every year. I think there were hopes that Kentucky would be further along in the upper echelon, especially a couple of years ago when you look how the season they had, and they started the season so well a couple of years back. Tough spot here. They did take the 10 and 9 and went down to 8.5, but now get back up the ladder. So that's That's the good thing. That's the best part about this game for us. Two-way action.
There we go. There we go.
Lined up.
I'm in the camp of Alex, but I want to see. There are a lot of these Power 4 schools that have so many changes, like Kentucky. I want to see them first. Got to see them.
90% of them have a lot of changes.
Yeah. Let's go to Seattle next. Vincenz, this is a team that people seem to like. Year 2 for Jed Fish. We like Jed Fish at Arizona. It was a little bit rough, but again, they lost everyone from the team that was in the title game the year before. Yeah. Now he faces a Colorado State team that, of course, will be going to the Pac-12 next year. 22 with Washington up in Seattle from 19.5. You guys, by the way, are market high on this game at 22.
Oh, Washington, I think it's a play against the Mountain West in Colorado State, as more so than actually than on Washington. By the way, so are we going to go back to? Is it going to be a Power 5 conference still? I don't necessarily.
Power 4.5.
So. Yeah, exactly. I think we're still going to be with Power 4 situation, but yeah, this is Washington. You want to start looking at teams. Who's going to be a surprise team this year? Is Washington one of those? Well, you have to watch this game and see which they, again, 3 touchdown favorites. I don't know if they will be, but will they be a surprise team in terms of covering numbers? And that's what folks are going to be looking for.
I'll just throw this out there on Washington. They play home games against Ohio State, Illinois, and Oregon. Mm-hmm. Their only really tough road game is at Michigan. There's a path. If there's going to be a surprise, again, we're looking for last year's Indiana now, right? Everyone thought it might be Illinois. But there's a path if Washington improves, like I think some of us do in year 2 under a good coach in Jed Fish.
Returned their quarterback, too, and he had a good year last year. Just 1 INT, 8 touchdowns, and completed 78% of his passes as a freshman. So for Williams, I think it'll be a good second year for him.
Yeah, Desmond Williams Jr. there. Chris? We get to talk about Jed Fish's former team right now. That's Arizona, who opens their season at home against Hawaii, who we saw last week.
Yeah.
They beat Stanford, I think, we all kind of talked about it. Kind of more to do with Stanford more so than anything. But before Alejado got hurt, actually looked pretty good. Not quite the same in the second half. Didn't have the mobility. It's been one-way traffic on Arizona here, up to 17.5 in this one.
Well, I think the key is the quarterback for Hawaii got hurt. I mean, you could see that second half. I mean, listen, I give the kid credit. He played the second half last week. He's going to play this week. But, I mean, it's just a shell of what his ability was, because he actually looked pretty good, I thought. Even though they didn't put a lot of points on the board, I thought that he looked okay. I don't know. I think the number, even with the injury, where am I at here? Even with the injury, I made the number 15.5. So we're up to 17 or higher.
17.5.
I think it's a little bit high. I don't know if I'd jump all over this one, but it's starting to get pretty close. I mean, I think Hawaii, first of all, having the one game under their belt probably, at least helps them a little bit. I think that this is a spot where this number might have gotten a little bit out of hand as an overreaction to an injury to a very good player and a quarterback, admittedly. But I think it's a little high. I mean, like I said, my adjusted price, even with that, was 15.5. Now it's 2 points higher than that. I don't know.
Let's keep it with, we have these great Pac-12 after dark games with the teams in the different conferences this year. And this one is perfect. 8 o'clock Pacific time at the Rose Bowl. The get better or get worse game, right, Vinny?
Love it.
Yeah. For
get
Utah,
even or get even worse.
Yeah. The Utah UCLA game. Alex, I want to start with you because we talked about this a lot over the last 10 days, this game, where it's been interesting to see how this game has moved. You got Chris and company opened as 5. It got as high as 6.5. Got back to 5 actually not too long ago, and now we're back up the ladder to Utah as a 6-point favorite at the Rose Bowl late night in Pasadena.
And I think Utah should be a small favorite. I made them 1.5 on the road, so I just think that there's points. You get value with the home team. Again, I guess I'm on a lot of home teams here, but I love Whittingham. I feel like I'm usually backing his teams because they are tough, one of the better defenses in that conference. But now they're on the road. They're starting a quarterback again who comes up from the FCS level. And so I think they'll be good. I like Dampier. I think that was a good move. I like how they bring Jason Beck in as well. I said FCS. They are from New Mexico. Because I think they needed to reamp their offense, right? I just think all these things take time. On the other side, Nico as you mentioned, he was a freshman in the SEC. He's going to be ready to play in this game. Deshaun Foster, I think he'll be better. Second-year coach here. So, yeah, I think it's just too many points, taking the 6.
I think a lot of pluses for UCLA, and I know I joked about it. I know I'm a Lone Ranger here, but I think Utah's a little bit overrated. I think last year, I mean, it was, listen, let's be honest, it was an aberration. Rising was questionable for 2 years in a row, I think. So I'm not sure we can go at. But I think that they lost a little bit, though. And I think UCLA, when help me with the pronunciation, the quarterback. Thank you. I think they actually signed a few guys after that, too, in the NIL, just thinking UCLA would would be a good place to land for those guys. And, second-year coach, I see some improvement possible there. I just think UCLA is a real live home dog here, and I'd like them with the points here.
I think what's going to impact this game too is because of its position, what's going to it, right? But I suspect that there'll be some support for the home dog here. I think so. I mean, we saw with UCLA late last season turn things around, much better team. We needed them quite often, frankly, from our side of the counter last year. I could see where we're going to see some support for the Bruins here as we get closer to kickoff.
I am unbelievably fascinated to see how the quarterbacks look in this game because Dampier, who was a lot of fun last year at New Mexico, but if you look at the passing numbers, they weren't pretty.
That's right.
It was a lot of just running more so than anything for Dampier, which could give Utah back to the roots of wanting to just ground the hell out of you every single game. And then obviously the offseason for Magliulo was one for the books, to put it politely. I just want to see how these quarterbacks look. I lean towards you guys. I think this is too many points, and I have the Utes in the college football playoff. So wouldn't shock me if Utah actually even dumps this game and then ends up winning the Big 12. Wouldn't shock me one bit if that happens.
I'm glad you brought that up to give some numbers, too. Completed 58% of his passes, 12 touchdowns, 12 INTs.
Yeah.
But he did add 19 rushing touchdowns. So, yeah, using his legs a lot. The passing, a little questionable, but we'll see.
Let's go to New Orleans next. Early start for Northwestern at Tulane. Interesting game, Chris, with a power conference team going to play a team that, look, after Boise gets smacked last night, it's wide open for that.
Yeah.
For that,
They were my second choice before last night. Oh, they're probably my first choice.
Yeah, wide open now for that potential bid, that last bid. Interesting movement in this game. You opened 6.5 up to 7, which felt right to me.
Yeah.
And now it's all over Northwestern the last day plus, down to 5 in this game.
Well, again, I think a lot of dogs probably, overall the right move here in week 1 when, we don't know. There's been such a more transition. I mean, I'm 69 years old. I never remember seeing any kind of transition like we're seeing this year. But nonetheless, I like Tulane in this game. I think if you go through the rosters, they just have a much better, they're much more athletic than Northwestern. And I made this number a lot higher when the numbers first came out back in May. This wasn't a game that jumped out to me. I thought that this is a team that just, I think is much, much better than Northwestern. And this is definitely one of my plays.
9 o'clock Pacific start, 9 o'clock in the morning. I think overnight there'll be support for Tulane. I don't think this number goes lower. I think it tends to go back up.
I like to see it go back up at 7. I think this is almost. I know it's.
I don't know if it'll get to 7.
I don't think it will either, Vinny. But this is one of those where I'd almost get greedy if I had a 7 in my pocket right now and try to get the game to land 6. I know you love that, right, Vinny?
Why do you do that? Is that necessary?
That's the first one of the year. I had to do it.
Week 1.
I had to do it. I can't wait for
the obligatory one.
I know you're gonna can't. You can't wait for next week when we inevitably get a 2.5, 3 hopper next week.
Whoa, we got them.
Threes. You love that.
We got them.
All right, let's move ahead to look. In theory, this next game should be a big matchup, but what are we getting out of Florida State? What are we getting out of the Seminoles at this point? Again, last year was as epic of a train wreck as you could have ever imagined down there. 3 wins. Somehow Norvell survived, which is pretty impressive, all things considered.
Must have a huge buyout.
No, he does. Yeah. He does, and they didn't want to pay it. Alabama, I guess all things considered, was a disappointment last year. 9-4 with a bowl loss. Kalen DeBoer, year 2. Ty Simpson's at quarterback for the Tide. Thomas Castellanos comes in from Boston College to be the QB for Florida State. We're up to 14. Bama on the road here, Chris.
I'm at 12. I mean, I think Florida State rebounds somewhat. I don't know if we're going back to the Bobby Bowden era with Florida State at perennial national championship contenders. And I think DeBoer is going to be a very, very good coach. So all that. But that number's a little bit high. 14? Boy, I don't know. That's another one. A lot of question marks going in. Not so much question marks for Alabama. We have question marks for Florida State. But I think some of those question marks could be answered in a positive manner. And I think they will rebound a little bit. And like I said, 14 at home, that just seems a little bit too much to me. I thought 12 was a good number.
I'm taking the 14. I like it. This is actually one of my favorite plays here. Getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State, who you're right, nobody wants to bet on them. We saw them last year. They were 133rd in points per game.
Oh, man.
Why would you want to bet on them?
How many teams are there?
Now we moved up to what, 136?
Okay, that's still pretty bad, right?
Yeah,
okay.
So yeah, second to last. I like the quarterback they got with Castellanos, because we were back in BC. We were Bill O'Brien. Look at what he's doing. And then he got benched. Yeah. But Bill O'Brien, come to find out he's a better football coach than me. He picked the right guy. But now I think that Castellanos can do good here at Florida State. They also have a new OC. And Alabama, Jeff, I think it is a disappointment because it's not just the few games they lost. It's how they lost. It's who they lost to. It's when they lost, right? Like in these moments, they weren't prepared like they should have been. So lost their playoff chances, lost to Vandy, who... we're talking about kind of falling off this year, but yeah. So I think 2 touchdowns here is good. I think I made it closer to 9 or 10.
Okay.
we'll get a look at Alabama's depth too, right? Miller's out, right? I think Miller was their leading rusher a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's going to miss this game. So, but again, you mentioned that Jeff Simpson at quarterback. Initially, the money came in on Florida State, Chris. I think, right? We went down to like 12.5.
Yeah, we've been so up,
but it's been
so long,
mostly Alabama money since. So, yeah, I mean, look, that's what you're looking for. Again, what's the depth of Alabama in the second year of DeBoer, and can Florida State rebound and get themselves back to relevance?
I have humongous questions about Ty Simpson. I have humongous questions about him.
Might be answered with plus 14. Then.
Well, here's the problem, though. I can't get out of my mind what I saw from Florida State all last year, even though it's a different-looking team. Mm-hmm. Castellanos, remember, the year went along. Castellanos was dealing with a shoulder injury, and he wasn't the same. He actually got benched after the injury up in Boston College. If he's 100% healthy, it's a totally different look.
I like that kid.
He was good at the beginning of the year last year.
He did something besides that too. I feel like he made it like a business decision, and like I don't know. He weird complaint.
He was genuinely hurt for a time there.
Yeah.
I can tell you this: Bill O'Brien doesn't put up with a lot.
He doesn't
of crap.
put up with nonsense.
I mean, chewed out Tom Brady famously. You know, I mean, this is a guy not going to put up with a bunch of.
But Alabama's whole season hinges on the quarterback play, and I don't buy Ty Simpson. That's why I don't have them in my playoff. I just don't think he's up to the part. And I didn't like Milroe either last year, but Simpson's got a lot less talent than Milroe did. All right, let's go to College Station next. Chris, I think we got a game you and I are simpatico here. A&M is a big favorite against another team that a lot of people seem to like as a potential playoff team out of the American Athletic, and that's the Roadrunners of UTSA. You opened 21, got as high as 24.5. It's starting to come back down a little bit, 23.5 now. Aggies laying it at home against the Roadrunners.
Well, when I wrote that article about SEC teams playing lesser Southern teams, Texas and Texas A&M were not part of the SEC, but I think the same psychology is at work here. These are kids from San Antonio who weren't good enough to make Texas or Texas A&M or just, move a little bit east, LSU or any of those teams. Man, they're going to have a lot of incentive in this game. And A&M, I think they just want to walk out of here with a victory. They'll probably get it. But I think these kids at San Antonio, this is I don't know, want to say this is their Super Bowl, but they've been thinking about this game for 3 months. Where Texas A&M is probably thinking about, well, who else we got on the schedule? We're going to have to play Texas. We got to play Bama. We got to do blah, blah, blah. Where this is going to be a highly focused game for the dog. And I just think not so much a number play because I made the number 20, but I think, again, psychologically, I think, everything points to the dog for me.
I'm with you. Owen McCown showed glimpses last year of being a potential, especially at that level, a high-end quarterback. Rare at this level, especially, even though it was a down year for UTSA, Traylor was in the mix for the A&M job as well when they hired Elko 2 years ago.
How many of these San Antonio kids are going to be playing maybe at Texas A&M next year?
Very possible.
To Chris's point.
Very possible, Vinny.
Yeah.
Audition.
But I'm with you. I took 24 earlier in the week. I still think it's pretty darn good at 23.5, 23, which is out in the market right now.
Just please don't outright upset, because
that would
really
floor me. That would floor me if that happened.
There goes your playoffs.
There goes my whole playoff, yeah.
All right, let's go to the other big one tomorrow, and that is Clemson welcomes LSU. Chris, we kind of talked about this a little bit last week. Brian Kelly was chirping all summer long. Death Valley Jr., the Clemson one. I hate that. Like, what are we doing here? If you're Brian Kelly, even though we know he can't help himself. Open 3, up to 4 with Clemson. I actually agree with the move, even though I have both of these teams in my college football playoff when it's all said and done.
I think both teams easily could be in the playoffs. Clemson, I certainly expect to be there. LSU, I wouldn't say I'm expecting them to be there because obviously coming out of the SEC, anything's going to be tough. But I think it's a very good team. But that being said, I made the number 4. But I'm really looking forward to this game, seeing the quarterback matchups here between these two guys. I think certainly might be the 2 best quarterbacks in college football. Could easily be the 1 and 2 selections in next year's draft. So I'm really interested in seeing that. I think Kelly's a good coach despite stepping on it every once in a while and hurting himself. but he is a good football coach. But so is Sweeney. So I mean, I think that this should be a hell of a game, and can't wait to see this one.
I like this play. I don't love it. I did a write-up for it, too, with Clemson. And just trusting the numbers right, because I am pretty high on Clemson in this roster they have. So I have them about 8 here at home in this first game, of course, with the home field and everything. So the fact that Clemson went 0-3 against SEC teams last year makes me think Dabo's got to have his team ready to go in this one. I don't like the fact, like you said, both really good quarterbacks. If it came down to the last drive, I mean, I have no doubt Garrett Nussmeier can't lead his team to a victory as well, but Clemson's got to get a lead here. They also return the most out of anybody in the country, and then Dabo did use the portal. The other thing I don't like is how many games Brian Kelly has missed. How many opening in a row now, so that's got to be on their mind. They're going to be highly motivated for it as well, but I did lay the points with Clemson, and I'm on that side.
Toggler, Jeff, laying 3.5, taking 4, right, in the last 10 days.
Bingo.
There you have it. I think the question for me is, can LSU stop Clemson? It's the defensive side of things, right? I mean, look at them last year, since really Brian Kelly's been there. Defensively, that's been their Achilles, and that's what's going to be the difference for me here. You have 2 solid quarterbacks, but who's got the better defense? I think Clemson does.
It's not even close. I mean, that's what's killed LSU the last 2 years. Yeah.
I mean, look at the weapons they had 2 years ago, and didn't even sniff the 14 playoff 2 years ago because of how awful that defense was. I would be throwing Clemson in moneyline parlays. That would kind of be the way that I would look at it. This has the feel of this game either landing Clemson wins by a field goal or by 4 because LSU does something ridiculous at the end of the game. And I love both of these quarterbacks. There's a legit, you said it, these guys could go 1-2 in the NFL draft. They could be the 2 best quarterbacks in college football by the end of the year. But I'm going to take the coach that I trust more, and I trust Dabo more than I trust Brian Kelly. I like Clemson to win the game. It would be a slight lean to the 4 on the Tigers. All right, another Pac-12 after dark game that's not Pac-12 anymore, even though Oregon State technically still is. Chris, this has been a fascinating mover, hasn't it? From open 2, got as high as 3, now down to 1 on the Beavers. True freshman quarterback, whose name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, for Cal. Malik Murphy is starting now at Oregon State, his 3rd team in 3 years.
Let me just say for a second, what they did to the Pac-12 is criminal. If all those guys went to jail, I would be happy with it. But, Cal in the ACC, I mean, that is Cal and Stanford. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I like Cal in this game. I made Cal 1 myself. I'm not giving that out as one of my official plays here, but I am in a couple contests. And I think I used Cal in 1 or 2 of them. I can't remember. I might have, I might not have. But, I made it 1 Cal. I mean, it's kind of pretty close, obviously. But, that's another great betting game. And we got a 7:30 game, and we got an 8 o'clock game. Should be a lot of fun. My wife won't see me probably till about 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Well, she might see me, but I'll be watching football at home. So,
She might see you Monday.
Yeah. Maybe Sunday night, Vinny.
Alex and I talked about this game a lot actually during the week because, again, Sammy P very low on Cal going into the year. I'm more with you, even though I like Malik Murphy. I think he ran out of Texas, Arch Manning more so than anything, ran out of Duke. They paid Mensa a ton of money.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a guy who deserved to run out of 2 programs back-to-back years. I don't think he can play. Which kind of leads me to the over in this game, but that scares me a ton as well with the way that Cal is still built defense first.
Well, you'll get the best number.
I know.
Going over. Right?
I know.
I mean, it's down a couple of points.
I know.
So from the opener.
All right, let's go to Sunday. Atlanta, second game in Atlanta for the weekend. Virginia Tech and South Carolina. Boy, talk about a team that the expectations have gone through the roof for the Gamecocks. Top 15 team in the poll. If you say a bad word on social media about South Carolina, you have about 1,000 South Carolina fans in your mentions yelling at you to do the dumbest person alive. This is 8 now here at your shop, Chris. That's the biggest number in the market, and this is a little bit of differentiation from the rest of the market. There are 7s, there are 7.5s here on this one. I will tell you, At 8, I love Virginia Tech.
Do you really?
I do. At 8, I think this is a 7. I think this is South Carolina by a touchdown.
They opened
so
9.5.
I
opened 9.5.
I know. Even at 8, still love the Hokies coming down.
Backers and
they're all in my social media mentions.
They should get to the they get to the betting counter.
Yeah.
I made the game 10 myself. I mean, I didn't play this because I'm very leery of playing too many favorites week 1, but I don't think much of Virginia Tech. I think, and
Fair.
I think South Carolina, I'm not buying all the hype. They're top 15 or whatever, but I do think they're pretty darn good. And I don't have much of an opinion on Virginia Tech. I think they're not a very good team at all. So kind of like the favorite a little bit here.
I'm with Chris. I did make it higher than this, but I feel like with South Carolina, like you feel like with Illinois, like I was all on board. And Lenore Sellers, I really think South Carolina could have done some great things last year if he didn't get injured, and so ready for this year. And now it's just too much hype on him.
If they held on remember early in the year they had a big lead on LSU and they blew that game. If they just held there in the playoff, they would have been 10-2. The committee would have put South Carolina in over SMU more likely than not. And look, there's a legitimate argument, Vinny, that Lenore Sellers is the best quarterback in the country going into the year too.
A lot of guys love him.
He's very, very skilled. All right, the other Sunday game. This is a fun one. Miami. Our friend Mario Cristobal, Chris, brings in Carson Beck from Georgia after bringing in Cam Ward from Wazoo. Ward only went on to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft. So I guess even though they missed the playoff, you could say it did work last year in Miami. Notre Dame, first career start for C.J. Carr on the road in humid Miami, Florida on a Sunday night. Total of 50.5 in this one. Notre Dame a 3-point favorite.
I mean, I made Notre Dame 1. That's, I know a lot of wise guys that I've talked to are on Miami. Maybe I'm talking to Bear Felica a little too much because he's a Miami guy. Oh, him and Sammy P on together, 2 friends of our show. I'm very proud of that. I think that's great. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, to me, 3 would be a take in this game. And I didn't take 3 in any of the contests that I'm in because they were all running at 2.5.
That's right.
I probably would have taken 3 if I'd have seen it. But yeah, I think Notre Dame, a very slight favorite, is probably the right number.
I'm with the guys too because I made Miami a slight favorite here at home, -1. So it's definitely a take for me. I love the 3 more than the 2.5. That's for sure. I just think people are kind of forgetting how good Carson Beck was for Georgia. And I remember Jeff and I talked about it on our morning show often. We were like, what's happening to Carson Beck? He keeps throwing interceptions. And so he definitely had like a chunk of games where we didn't see the best of him, but I think he can get back to that point. We saw years of him being a very good college quarterback. So I do like it. I do think that Jeremiah Love is a definite threat here. Notre Dame knows how to run the ball and, slow down the clock. So that worries me a little bit, and they are the better defense, but I'm going to take the 3 here.
What happened to Carson Beck was his receivers graduated.
Yeah.
There we go.
Brock Bowers,
went to the pros.
Like McConkey?
McConkey, yeah.
And one of them's having a great start to his career right
down the street.
So, I think that's what happened. And so, now that's for Kirby Smart to deal with his new
Gunnar Stockton.
But here's another game that's you've got a treat from at our side of the counter, like an NFL game. You want to book it, and another good byproduct of the playoff because it's not a loss is not a death sentence for the playoff. So probably a few more questions. I would say for Notre Dame coming out of the national championship game and that pressure on them. Does this game go higher? I doubt it. I think that people may be waiting for that. But also, if you're thinking about Miami plus the 3, you're probably thinking maybe 20%, 25% on the money line as well, and taking $1.20. So,
just to interject what Bear told me, because I have been texting a lot with him lately. He told me he thinks Miami has the best offensive line in the country.
Well, yeah.
I'm not a scout to tell you what is and what isn't, but I got to respect Bear's opinion on something
for Carson
like
Beck, that's for sure.
This is one of those where I would just forego the points. If you like Miami, just take them outright because it feels like if they're going to cover that number, It going to be an outright Miami win. And my only concern, if you look at the talent on this Kane team, they're a top 5 talent team in the country.
When has that been a problem, Jeff? That has never been a problem.
For Cristobal, going back to Oregon, it hasn't been.
Yeah.
It's been what's between the ears for the head coach over the last few years. All right, last one. Got to bring it up. Bill Belichick makes his debut at North Carolina on Monday in a solo window. How about that? What a sentence. What kind of odds could we have gotten on that sentence being uttered a few years ago, Vinny?
Well, as soon as he signed, you could have, it was off the board. That's why this game. That's the reason this game is being played in prime time on Monday night.
So Chris, you got TCU a road favorite here at 3.5. Look, there's a lot of unknown on the North Carolina side, but everyone seems to have an opinion. Whether it's positive or negative remains to be seen at this point.
Just keep coming and backing it with your money is all I can tell you. I made the number 3. Again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm as interested as anybody.
They laid the 3, and here it is. I mean, sentiment doesn't cash tickets, but sentiment does drive some bettors. So
it does.
Write that one down too.
That's a lot of English there, Vinny, on that one. And the sentiment.
You went to Missouri. That's a journalism school. Come on.
That's a long time ago now, Chris. That's a decade now.
Oh,
That's crazy.
You're breaking my heart.
I'm sorry. All right. Before we go, we're going to have whiteboards in a second here, but we're going to start with Chris Andrews here today. Because Chris Andrews, by the way, you had a tremendous year last year. We just have to bring that up. You hit 58% on the show last year.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn good.
It is good.
I'll take that every time. And you're off to a 1-0 start.
Yeah.
Kansas Jayhawks, didn't matter what number you got.
Yeah.
Easy cover a week ago. Chris, what are you on here in week 1?
So here's my 4 official plays that I would give out. Kentucky, kind of feeling, and I'm trying to go by current numbers, so whatever you see right now.
I'll give you 10.
UCLA, you can take +6. Make sure you get the 6 because that is around. Tulane, what do you see there? Like mostly 6.5?
I'm going to say 5. You get 5.
5, okay.
Lay 5.
I liked it even when it was higher. And I like Texas San Antonio. Again, get the 24, But, I mean, there's 23.5 out there. If you have to take the 23.5, go ahead and get that. Put me down officially for that. I also want to add, and I've talked about this over the years, I had a guy in Reno, and he used to beat me up every year. The same kind of MO. First week of the season, he would take a bunch of dogs, usually between 4 and 6, play them on the money line, round robin them. And that dirty rat, he used to beat me every year. But just to anticipate, now I haven't talked to him or anything, but this seems like the kind of plays that he would make. And really, I talked to him one time back then, and he said, I'm looking for teams that, like, at the end of the year, you would say, how the hell were they a dog week 1? So these are all pretty close games like that. He would probably play like Massachusetts, getting a little bit against Temple, LSU, which easily could be, a dominant team, really. Miami, again, same thing. North Carolina, who knows? And UCLA. Those are the kind of plays that he would make. And again, I'm anticipating just seeing his pattern for 20-some years. And the guy always did pretty good. So I gave those out last year. And I know Alex, our good friend Alex White, played some of them. And she did pretty good round robining those.
I think 4 out of 5, actually.
4 out of 5? That ain't bad.
It's pretty good.
I actually had a rough first week. And that's funny because you have LSU, so that kind of makes sense. I remember I like the other side, but betting it. And
I'm not picking sides. I'm just trying to go by a pattern that he used to use,
Yeah, so definitely could be.
I'll throw mine out here real quick. Syracuse plus the 14 against Tennessee. That's the one that I think, by the way, I apologize. My handwriting is horrible. That's part of the reason I don't do a whiteboard normally. But Syracuse plus the 14. Tonight, I'm on Baylor. I got plus 110. That's not available anymore on the money line. It's even is the best number out there. I still think it's good. If you want to take the one instead, no problem. I think Baylor's winning the game outright. UTSA plus 23.5. I'm simpatico with Chris, but if 24 reappears, I'll bet it again. And then I'm on Belichick in North Carolina on Monday night. I'm on him. I'm not a believer in this TCU team. I'm not a fan of Hoover. And I like Gio Lopez, the quarterback that came over from South Alabama. Now, the one concern that I have, this will probably be the worst that Belichick's defense looks all year. Also, I forgot an L in Carolina.
I was going to say, how do you spell
North
Carolina?
Carolina here today at plus 3.5.
That's in Hawaii.
Yeah, there you go. I forgot the L. Sorry, Ryan.
Carolina.
That's what I get for not putting UNC on there. But there you go. Those are my 4 here for this week on the whiteboard. And I know Alex has a quartet as well.
Now I'm excited to hear what your breakdown on Monday for that North Carolina, because you haven't really spoken much of that.
Nope.
So this is news. I'm excited. I don't have a play. I'm a Chris. I think that number was pretty much right. TCU. Okay, so here's my 4. Yes, sorry. Okay, which I did give out Baylor already with the points too. So I didn't really want to jump back in. I gave out Clemson 3.5. So I'm gonna just go money line on this page. I got tripped up. I'm going with Coach Prime. You're going with Belichick. I'm going with Coach Prime here, taking the 4 points. Kind of to Chris's point, I already liked this one, but we didn't have time to go through it. I like Southern Miss getting 14 against Mississippi State, and I think it's going to be a huge game for these athletes. And then I'm going Florida State plus 14 against Alabama. Woo! Those are 2 big ones. It could be scary.
A lot of underdogs on our card. So far, 21 games into the season. Dogs are 14-7 against the number, but they're only 2-19 straight up. Wow. The only 2 underdogs to win in FBS versus FBS games. Iowa State and Farmageddon in Ireland, even though we're supposedly not supposed to call it Farmageddon anymore.
Why not?
Reese Davis said it on a podcast that they were instructed not to say it.
Wow.
Who knows why? Very bizarre. And
biblical some things or
some nonsense. And South Florida's demolition of Boise, the other underdog, to win outright so far this year.
I hope it keeps going. I hope it's just because of the portal and, the information and all the kids moving.
Yeah.
And it's not just early on and now we go to favorites.
Well, the other thing, Vinny talked about it too, the benefit of, and I don't like all this conference expansion, but the benefit is we see great games early in the year. Ordinarily you might not see Texas and Ohio State because a loss there might knock you out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But now it's just one more loss and you can still win your conference.
For a few years we had a really good matchup to start the season, but then the team that lost that game was pretty much done for the playoff consideration. So
Well, Ohio State lost their last game last year and ended up going to win a national championship. Yeah. So it's a whole new ball game with 12 teams in the postseason.
Should be.
All right, that's been Football Frenzy on a Friday here on Sports by the Book. We're back every Friday, 12 noon Pacific time every Friday. We have Week 1 NFL next week. How about that? Ooh. NFL, college football coming your way at noon every Friday. Alex and I are live at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday every single week. We are here on Labor Day. I'll give more on my Belichick thoughts on Monday. Hopefully that number doesn't move too much so they can not be stale at that point, Alex.
And check out our previews for every NFL team before the season starts next week.
All available now on the YouTube page, Sports by the Book. For Chris Andrews, for Vinny Magliulo, for Alex White, I'm Jeff Parles. Thank you all for watching here today. Shout out to the crew, Ryan, Jerry, Vince, Ann, Drew Dog, and Sean. We're back on Monday at 10 a.m. This show is back at noon on Friday, right here. This has been Football Frenzy, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Also, we have Joe D'Amico back. So Cup of Joe will lead you to the weekend, everybody.
Hello, sports fans, world champion handicapper, Las Vegas' biggest daily sports bettor, Joe D'Amico. Excited about a college football matchup. No, the college football matchup, the biggest marquee matchup in college football on the board this week. Number 1, Texas Longhorns going into Columbus to play the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes. My friends, in a quick recap, these two teams met last January in the CFP semifinals, and we all know how that ended. Ohio State took down Texas 28-14, then went on to beat Notre Dame for the national title. My friends, everywhere I go, whether it be on TV, on my computer, in print, I am reading that game was tied through the third quarter, then went into the fourth, and blah, 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 blah. If the coach would have did this and the team would have did that, sports fans, Ohio State did what they needed to do to win that game. Bottom line. Yes, this is a big revenge situation for the Longhorns. I mean, they're now led by Heisman candidate Arch Manning, who has full control of the offense this season. I give him an edge, not as big as the newspapers and the shows are all saying, an edge He's a little more polished than his counterpart, Julian Sayin. Speaking of the Buckeyes quarterback, I keep reading about him, guys. His first ever start. I get it. This guy better dealt Alabama go to Ohio State. That says a lot about him. I also want you to know, keep in mind, Arch Manning only has 2 official starts under his belt. It's not like he's that much more experienced in starts, guys. 2 official starts. Having said all that, coincidentally enough, I feel Arch Manning's going to be on the run quite a bit here. He is missing four of his offensive lineman starters from last season. Now, you will read, coincidentally enough, Ohio State's defensive line has to replace 4 guys. But I want you to know the 4 guys that left, great linebackers, linemen, the ones that came in just as good. All right. I know about these guys. They are a monster line. All right. Having said that, they also have a couple of leaders and seasoned veterans on their stop unit this season. This squad is going to be as ferocious as they were a season ago. And if you recall, they went up a lot against a lot of solid offenses, and they did not give up a lot of points. Let's not forget playing at home in front of some of the most loyal fans, crazy fans, loud fans, and all of college sports gives Ohio State a big edge here as well. One last thing, my friends, it can't sit well with the Buckeyes that they opened their season ranked behind a team in which they took down just over 7 months ago. Now, sports fans, as of taping this, I've seen this line go down most places to about a 1. I will tell you this. Everybody's playing Texas, and I have made a very successful career going against the grain. I'm doing it again here. I like Ohio State to repeat last meeting that they had with Texas. They're going to win again here, going against the grain. I'm playing the Buckeyes. I'm going to take my bookmakers money. You follow me, you will too.